Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Over the course of the past few days and weeks, we've actually seen several new details, new features, new updates all announced for Battlefield 6. And some of these updates, some of these announcements have been done in a much more subtle way than others. Like obviously Battlefield and DICE have gone through, done their community update blog posts and announced some official things on their usual channels. Some of these though are just announcements that have been done in the background through various different developer interviews, a few responses from developers on Twitter. So there's a good chance if you haven't been paying super close attention, you've actually missed several of these pretty important announcements. Some of these more so good news, some of them maybe not all considered great news depending on your viewpoints on the game, but lots and lots of details to break down here today. As we do so, if you guys enjoy the video, you find the information helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. It really does help grow the channel, and share the video around to new viewers. And if you happen to be one of those new viewers, you want to ensure you're up to date with everything going on in Battlefield. We've obviously got a very busy month ahead. This is the place to be to stay up to date with everything, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Speaking of this being a very busy month, it actually just got busier with a new confirmation that we've got some more Battlefield 6 announcements inbound, it would seem, towards the end of the month. As Battlefield Bulletin reports here, Battlefield 6 will be featured at the Tokyo Game Show. So this is taking place from September 25th to 28th, and presumably they're going to do some kind of presentation or announcement at the Tokyo Game Show here. So we could be getting some surprises, maybe some new details on some launch content and launch features at this. So certainly something that I'll be tuning into, and of course if anything major does come from it, we'll be covering it here on the channel. We also have some responses dating back to earlier this month regarding concerns with some features in the beta, some features that have actually been detailed and tweaked already for the latest Battlefield Labs playtest as well. Originally during the beta, there were some clips going around of some pretty absurd spawn trapping where a player could just ADS at a spawn point and enemy players would quite literally just spawn directly in the center of your reticle, of your optic here. Someone does ask Kevin Johnson, the community manager for Battlefield, if they're aware of how bad some of these spawns are. Kevin basically just says this clip is kind of rage baity. It is weekend one footage from the beta, so it was just there to get a headline essentially. The team was well aware of this, and they were aware of it going into the open beta as well, and they're already working on even more improvements for launch too. So for those who were either doing the spawn trapping or getting spawn trapped, that experience is not going to necessarily be there at launch, which is certainly good news there. Another interesting change here, during the recent Battlefield Comms community update talking about some of the new labs testing, someone ended up asking David Serlin, the lead producer at DICE here, about the green circles around the ammo and med bags. Obviously, if you've paid attention enough in game, when you would throw those down, there would be like that green halo around them on the ground or on whatever surface they were on, sort of indicating you were within the vicinity to receive the ammo or whatever, right? And to this, David Serlin says, those are no longer in the game. They've made other arrangements. So there are alternatives now to see where the ammo supplies are, where the medic bags are, but it's not going to be that green halo any longer. So if you found that really easy and really convenient, you're probably not loving that news. If you didn't think it was super immersive or super realistic, you're probably a bigger fan of that news there. Another response, someone ends up asking about the ability to run two launchers on engineers, as in the most recent Battlefield Labs playtest, those were still available. Obviously that was a big thing in the beta, being able to have something to attack air vehicles, lock on there, but then have your RPG for the ground vehicles as well. Felt pretty dominant, and David does say these will not be possible to combine. It's also something we can tweak and you can change in Portal, as it's merely a setting. So come full launch, the double launcher deal on engineers is not going to be something you can actually combine and use on one of your loadouts. Now, outside of direct developer responses on Twitter, we also have a few other interviews that have taken place with various different Battlefield developers. And through this, we've actually learned quite a bit of new information on various different features and setups for the game itself. So for instance, Battlefield Bulletin reports on several of these, saying the Ripple Effect Studio tech director Christian Boole, hopefully I said that right, says Battlefield 6 is not going to have a spectator mode or a platoon system at launch. There's no official word yet whether it's going to be coming at some point. And funny enough, the site that ended up publishing this interview actually amended it and removed that last part from the interview where he says that there won't be spectator mode or the platoon system there. Could be under NDA, could be a feature that's coming that they haven't fully announced yet, or it's something that they just didn't want to publicly say, yeah, it's not going to be in the game. But for those of you who were looking forward to those features, unfortunately, as of right now, it does not seem that they're going to be fully available within Battlefield 6. Battlefield Bulletin also reports saying Ripple Effect confirms that Battlefield 6's UI is going to receive a few changes, quote, based on some of the biggest feedback, but have no plans to completely rebuild the menu from scratch between now and launch. They go through and say basically it's going to still be a little bit clunky when they launch, but they're going to continue to improve it going forward. I actually kind of like that they admit like it's not going to be perfect at launch. It might have some clunkiness to it. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that always. I kind of like that honesty and that transparency there. But for those of you who weren't huge fans of the UI, there were quite a few complaints. This is something I didn't love. A lot of the horizontal scrolling on the menus and everything. Not personally my thing. I much more so like the vertical menu layouts. I just think those are easier to navigate. They are going to be making some changes here, but it's not like we're going to open up the game on day one and the menus are going to be completely different from anything that we saw during Battlefield Labs or during the beta period either. Now, this next report, in my opinion, a little bit more obvious, but I know there are a lot of people out there that have been asking about this, maybe holding out hope that this was going to be the case, but Christian Bull does confirm that there are no plans for a new beta for Battlefield 6 between now and launch. Anything they're finalizing and testing out balancing for launch is going to be done through Battlefield Labs exclusively. So for anyone who is really hoping they'd maybe drop a surprise beta, you know, in 2 weeks time to have one last chance to get larger community feedback, that's just not going to happen. No such thing will be taking place. That was the one and only beta we'll have for Battlefield 6, with Labs being the only place to test out the stuff pre-launch. We also have a few technical announcements that were posted recently that are kind of interesting. So Battlefield 6 is not going to support ray tracing. Christian Bull says they're focused on making the game as optimized as possible just for the default settings and the default users, saying, quote, "We just made the decision relatively early on that we weren't going to be doing ray tracing. And again, it was mostly so that we could focus on making sure it was performance for everyone else," which is actually, in my opinion, a really good take. They wanted to make sure the game ran fantastic regardless of your specs. They didn't necessarily want to focus on making sure that the game was going to be super optimal and super pretty just for the exclusive set of players that can actually run ray tracing at stable frame rates, right? So in my opinion, pretty cool way to go about that, really prioritizing the larger community and accessibility and stability there over everything. Christian also says Battlefield 6 will not rely on DLSS, FSR, or XESS as substitutes for optimization, since the studio's goal is to make the game run great on its own. Though those upscaling technologies are still going to be there, he does say, I believe all of our default performance targets are not with upscale on. There are pros and cons to a lot of those different techs. Our goal is for everything to be performant without a lot of extra stuff. So basically saying this game should be incredibly well optimized. Now you can go further and use DLSS, use FSR if you want to, but the base game in and of itself should run incredibly well, which again, hopefully is fantastic news there, and hopefully their word stands true come launch. And then lastly here, there could be something to this. This could purely just be a little art thing that they did for fun here, but there was a new Battlefield 6 art that was posted that players found. And in it, when you look closely, you'll notice in the background, there is in fact a submarine in this. And there's been a lot of talk about potential naval warfare included in Battlefield 6. We really haven't seen too much of that in any trailers or any details so far, but this art piece for it, which is very similar to like the cover art for the base game, with the soldiers obviously looking in on the city, does in fact feature that submarine. So this now raises the question, is that by design? Are they teasing something there? Or is this simply for the overall warfare aesthetic here and that doesn't actually mean anything? So time is going to tell. We'll have to see if we get any official confirmation from any devs there or if anything leaks out, but something to monitor nonetheless as of now. But all that being said, quite a few new announcements, major things revealed and detailed here for Battlefield 6. As I said at the start of the video, it's going to be a very busy month, I imagine, for reveals and announcements, probably leaks and rumors too. So if you guys want to stay up to date with everything going on with Battlefield, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. And if you enjoyed this video, a like rating on your way out would be seriously appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.